Everybody to take their seats, please. It's going to be fine. We're in a small room. These mics are connected to AOC sound system. Okay, we're just gonna we all must use our teacher voices today. Okay, all right. Greetings, welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm Sally Donlin, and I welcome you on behalf of the League of Women Voters. The League is nonpartisan and nonprofit. It does not endorse or support candidates or parties. Since 1920, the League of Women Voters has worked to educate and inform voters. Membership is open to all men and women aged 16 and up. The Lafayette League encourages informed and active participation in government. Our members work to increase understanding of public policy issues and to influence public policy through education and advocacy. We're proud to have this evening as our moderator Dr. Christy Malloyd, Associate Professor of Political Science at UL Lafayette and Chair of the League of Women Voters Services Committee. Please welcome Dr. Malloyd.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our candidate forum here at the North Regional Library. Tonight, we're offering the public a glimpse of the candidates for Lafayette Parish Council Districts 1 and 5. And we're delighted to have all of the candidates who are running here with us tonight. Just a brief moment of housekeeping. If everybody would double check that your cell phone is on silent and keep it on silent for the duration of our forum. Candidates too.
Mine's been on vibrate.
First, let me give a little bit of detail about the format that we're going to be using here tonight. All of the questions that we're going to ask are going to be new to the candidates. They have not received these questions in advance. The questions are designed to give the candidates an opportunity to express their positions on issues that are relevant to the voters and are timely in terms of Lafayette politics and policy. Our process tonight will be to give each candidate by district in alphabetical order a 1 minute to introduce themselves. Each candidate will also have at the end of the forum 2 minutes to offer closing remarks. In between, we'll ask a series of questions and each candidate will receive up to 1 minute to respond to that question. And we'll do that in rotating order so that not one person is getting the same, beginning the questions each time. Our timekeeper here in the back, Mr. Carl Schott, if you'll wave for them, Carl, will strictly enforce these time limits. So he'll give you a green light whenever you're getting ready to go. You get a 15-second warning, a literal yellow light, and then the red light means cut off. He gives you very stern looks. He'll wave. Now, let's have a chance to get to know our candidates a little bit. We'll give each of you 1 minute just to introduce yourselves and tell us a bit about your campaign. And we'll start with District 1. Mr. Kishbaugh, and then we'll work our way down the line.
I'm Keith Kishbaugh. Thank you for taking time out of your evening to be here. I'm originally from New York City, third generation Marine Corps, raised by Marine Corps First Sergeant, Italian immigrants. Came down in Lafayette in 1972 with the Marine Corps. Went to Como High School, USL, played football and ran track at USL. Started my business while I was running, I was going to USL because I wasn't on scholarship. I wasn't that good of an athlete at the time. So I built my business, been in business 42 years. Accomplishments, I was a music minister for 3 churches for 25 years. I'm the head of security for Our Lady of Fatima Church now. I put 500 hours a year in as a volunteer. I've done volunteer coaching for almost 40 years, STM, Fatima, USL, UL. I worked with the softball team for 9 years. I worked with the track team for 12 years. And time is out.
Thank you.
When a minute goes fast.
Mr. Tabor.
My name is Brian Tabor, running for Parish Council District 1. I was born down the bayou, as they call it, in Raceland, Louisiana. I'm an Air Force brat. Lived all over the states. Moved back here in '79 after I graduated high school. I worked in the oil field a while, and got married to a Cajun woman over here that was in the plumbing business, and I turned out, bought into the plumbing business. I own a small plumbing company in Karen Crow. Been doing that for 30 years. We just converted and have the electrical department now. My wife's been my wife for 33 years. We have 3 children, 4 grandchildren. We're 1 on the way. And I've been living in the same address for 40 years.
Thank you very much. Mr. Rubin.
Hello, my name is Abraham A.B. Rubin. I was born and raised in Lafayette. I was born in the city portion of Lafayette, and I moved into the unincorporated portion of Lafayette, so I know a little bit of both sides of the world. I currently work at UPS, been there for 31 years. I'm married to my lovely wife right here, Sonia, for 28 years. We have 4 lovely children, 1 granddaughter. I enjoy serving the community. This is something that I've been doing all my life. Someone asked me, when did you start running? I've been running all my life. This is all I know. I've done many different things in the community. Easter egg hunt for 19 years. Adopted schools. I've been adopting schools for about 15 years now, doing different things in there. I've won numerous awards for my services in the community. I have only 1 minute, so therefore I can't list all of them. So I enjoy doing what I'm doing, and I would love for you guys to consider voting for me on October the 12th. A.B. Rubin, number 105, from the community, for the community.
Thank you. And Mr. Thomas.
Thank you. My name is James Thomas. I'm running for Parish Council District 5. Born and raised in Lafayette Parish. I currently work in transportation for the school system. I'm in charge of our substitute bus drivers, so that keeps me very busy. It's definitely challenging managing 260 routes, but we definitely get it done on a daily basis. I'm just excited to be running for office. I've always loved serving my community in numerous capacities, served on committee boards and a bunch of other things. And I think our parish council definitely has challenges, but I think we have great opportunities at the same time. So I'm excited for us to be able to move into those, that direction and continue to move our community forward. And I definitely think we can get there. And it's going to take both councils working together. So thank you.
Thank you. We'll begin our questions now. And again, each candidate will have up to 1 minute to answer the questions. We'll begin with Mr. Tabor, and we'll work down, and we'll come back around and end with Mr. Kishbaugh for the first question. Question number 1. What are going to be the most important tasks for the newly formed parish council, and how do you intend to tackle those tasks?
Money. That's the bottom line. Without money, you can't do roads, bridges, you can't do anything. Some of my ideas are going to be to look at the property taxes, how they're appropriated, and where they're. And as a matter of fact, I got a meeting tomorrow with our tax assessor, and I just want to figure out, if we can move some monies around. One of the other problems is every time something's annexed in, we lose that tax dollar from it. So it's basically rework the taxes the best we can. I'm not in favor of raising taxes. I think that it needs to be done. I think we could do it, but if we all put our heads together and work as a team, we could, as a new council, we can get that done by just reappropriating and moving taxes around.
Thank you. Mr. Rubin.
For District 5, our number 1 problem is getting businesses to come to the north side of town. I feel what we need to do is we need to first of all, take care of the businesses that we have right now. Go and talk to the businesses that we have. We have to invest into them first, upgrade them, so that way when another business comes here, they'll see the existing businesses that we have and say, well, hey, look, these people take interest in this business, well, maybe they might treat us the same way. And then what we do is we go to these businesses and we offer them different types of breaks. There are different types of programs out there. Now, I'm not in favor for all of them all the time, but there are some that we can go and say, hey, look, let's offer these people some TIF or some different tax breaks to get them in, so that way we can grow the north side of town. And then, like what he's talking about, we can get monies on our side of town. in the parish, you know, because, like you said, the parish is broke. So if we don't get, oh, I'm out.
Y'all are doing great at this, though.
I'm starting to get comfortable doing that.
Mr. Thomas.
Definitely, I think the parish council is the main thing that we're going to be faced with is our budget. Like Mr. Tabor said, the parish has a lack of funds, but we're going to have to look at our property taxes in regards to that. And I think if we continue to look at one of the things that I've had conversations with people about is, and he's a bond attorney, and one of the things is that if we can look at our bonds and see if we can capitalize on those bonds in order to find money that way and put it back in our budget. And if we're able to do those things, I think we're going to have to make sure that there's money somewhere, because the majority of the money that's in our budget right now is dedicated funds. So all that money is dedicated, so there's no wiggle room for us to be able to maneuver when it comes to having other projects. And people have to understand that these projects cost money. It costs money to provide services for roads, bridges, and drainage. Thank you.
Mr. Kishbaugh.
Well, I happened to make a decision a few years back to move from the south side of town to the north side of town. And I don't believe it's the north against the south. And I think our current city council has made some gross errors in the splitting of the council. I don't have a problem with the two different councils, but I do have a problem with the way they've done it and organized it, because it lends a great burden for both councils now moving. It may take 5 years to straighten it out. I love the north side. I love Karen Crow. The heritage is just incredible around here. I don't want to lose that. So I think it's important that we elect the right council people, the right mayor, to maintain our culture. As far as the money, we don't have no idea what the money looks like right now. Until you get deep in the weeds and dissect things, you won't know what kind of money you're working with. But from what I understand, the money is there. It just has to be appropriated properly. And we have to funnel it, and we have to create a parish that works for everybody. That's it. Time out.
Thank you very much. I'll give you all kind of a second crack to talk about some of these taxes with the second question. And Mr. Rubin, this time we'll start with you. There are many demands on the parish budget. Can those demands be met only with additional revenues, or can those demands be met by making cuts, increasing efficiencies, or rearranging our priorities? Do we have to raise taxes or not?
I think what we can do is try to create, like I said before, try to create jobs. Number one, if we create jobs, we don't have to worry about the taxes and everything else. The second thing is, look at our priorities also. There are some people in there who, well, might as well put it out there, they're doing it because that's my cousin or that's a friend, or they gave me X amount of monies when I was running, and they just taking care of those types of people. I think what we need to do is prioritize our monies and try to create jobs first. That's the first thing, instead of trying to put tax. We have enough burdens with taxes already. No one in this room right now wants taxes, unless y'all want. I think so. You know what I'm saying? So I say we stay away from the taxes and try to create other avenues, like I say, the jobs and prioritizing.
Thank you. Mr. Thomas.
Like I stated in my previous answer, we're definitely going to have to look at the services that we are providing and making sure those services and those needs are met. But like Mr. Kishbaugh said, once we get there, because that's the ultimate goal, we're going to have to, I think the parish in the first couple of months for sure, we're going to be looking at seeing what we can do with what we have. But the ultimate goal is to find future revenue and have more revenue than we do now. I definitely think if we can't continue to just get bring in the revenue that we're getting, because that's just not enough for the services that we are providing. And in order for us to provide more services, we're definitely going to have to find additional revenue sources.
Thank you. Mr. Kishbaugh.
I wanted to stand up and clap when Mr. Rubin was pointing out special interest. The whole reason why I'm running is because I got tired of the special interest and the collusion in our council and the way money is appropriated and funneled in different directions, that it's not going where it needs to be. The reason why I survived 42 years in the building business when people were leaving Lafayette, and the most popular bumper sticker in Tennessee was "I believe in Lafayette." You have to be efficient, cut fat, be streamlined, and identify where the needs are. We can run this as a business. The money appropriated, the $600 to $700 million a year that's appropriated to the city, is one of the biggest businesses in the state of Louisiana. We just have to make it work for everybody and quit sending money to special interest, special developers, engineers, architects, money that's going places where it doesn't need to be. Bring it back to the hometown.
Thank you. Mr. Tabor.
I'm gonna make it pretty simple. Needs versus wants. We gotta take care of the needs before we take care of the wants. It's, everybody up here said we need to take care of this. That's what it is. It needs to take care of the roads, all the infrastructure. If we don't take care of our roads, nobody's gonna wanna come to Lafayette to work. Nobody's gonna wanna move to Lafayette, with the roads where they are, or the flooding. I mean, if you don't make it a better place to live, then you'll never get there. And one of the ways I suggested earlier is reappropriating some of the taxes, move around some of these property taxes that are, if you look at I challenge you to look at your property tax and find out what those millages go to. That is, you would think it just should be 5 or 6 basic, but they got, I don't know how many they got on there, probably 10, 20 different millages on there that need to be appropriated, and relooked at. Thank you.
Thank you. For our next question, we will begin with Mr. Thomas. How do you see your responsibilities to other parts of the parish outside of your own district?
I think we, each council member are playing an important role in regards to that. But, of course, your main focus is always your district because that's the constituents that you represent and fight for every day. But in order for us to get things done on this new parish council, we'll definitely have to rely and have a great working relationship with other members of the council. And it's about building those relationships to move our community forward, not just individual districts, but Lafayette as a whole. And I'm looking forward to building those partnerships with the other council members, because it's going to take all of us to get through everything that the parish council is going to face. We're going to be facing some new challenges, and it's going to take all of us together to be able to deliver the results that are needed.
Thank you. Mr. Kishbaugh.
I want to create since we're in this predicament, and this is what we're being served right now with the 2 councils. What I'd like to do is create a parish president overseeing the parish council, where we can collaborate with the city council. I've been in business a long time. I've never seen anything more messed up than what this new charter has done. It may take 5 or 10 years to get it right, but this is the most important election we've been facing in Lafayette for many, many years. You have to elect the right people that are going to work with each other on both councils, and to have a mayor president in the city of Lafayette overseeing both councils, to me, it doesn't work. It doesn't matter who gets elected. So we have to create those 2 identities, and they have to collaborate together for the benefit of the parish. And unless you have that cooperation, it's always going to be lopsided, Time's out.
Thank you.
That's a fast one. My goodness.
Mr. Tabor.
Yeah, I agree with both of these guys. We need, all have to be like-minded. You can't, if you button heads, you never get anything done. We're working for everybody's working for their own district, but we're also working as a parish, one whole parish together as of Lafayette. It's not, you give me this, I'll give you that. It's working together. There'll be some, I'm sure, it's going to be hard at first to get there. I don't know how long it's going to take, but hopefully we'll get a bunch of guys in there and women that are looking for the best for Lafayette and not for the self.
Thank you. Mr. Rubin.
Let's talk about the elephant in the room. No one up here knows exactly the boundaries that we have to deal with this new charter. plain and simple. So that's why it's going to be important for us to come together and work together to move forward in the parish. Because think about it. We're going in there somewhat blind. But I know that I've worked with a lot of people, and I could work with anybody to try to get a common goal accomplished. And that's what I intend on doing, is working with every parish council, every city council, so that way we can move not just District 5, District 1, but all of Lafayette forward to get this thing done. Thanks.
Thank you. For our next question, we will begin this round with Mr. Kishbaugh. Do you support or oppose the budget proposal to use part of the Lafayette Parish Library fund balance to build a new library on the northeast side of Lafayette?
At this time, I don't. I've been very vocal about that. I don't think we need an $18 million library on the north side. I love our libraries. I think they have a lot of use. Right now, we have different priorities, and it's obvious. You know, Karen Crow was flooded in a 750-year rain in 2012. In 2016, we had over 4,000 homes affected with flooding. My property has a quarter mile of coulee mean that runs through it. We live on 20 acres off of Labisque, and that tributary hasn't been dredged in 65 years. We need to focus right now and collaborate with the Corps of Engineers to dredge the Vermilion, clean out our tributaries, clean up our waterways, appropriate that money to bridges, drainage, and roads, and then move back into the libraries. I'm all for libraries, but not at this time.
Thank you. Mr. Tabor.
$8 million for a library. I'm in the construction business. That's a lot of money for a library. I don't have a problem doing a library, but $8 million is a lot of money. I agree. We need to take care of, again, what I said earlier, the needs and the wants. I guess to answer your question, no, I don't think we need a library this time on that part. But if we take care of the needs and get all this, our monies situated, we'll have monies for the libraries. You know, we just need to get our priorities straight. And again, I'm not against libraries. We have a lot of libraries in Lafayette. I'm not sure the location of where that one was at, but again, if we need monies for other things, we need to look at that. And $8 million for a library is a lot of money for a library.
Mr. Rubin.
The library situation, I'm for it. I think it's a lot of money for it, but I do feel we need one on this end of town. There are children who don't have access to a lot of computers and things of such. I personally would like to do a lot of satellites, like in the different rec centers right by the schools, by your Paul Bro. Have something at Hyman Center. Put some computers there. At Dr. Baranco, there's Domain Center across the street. Put a satellite over there with a bunch of computers. I would lean more towards that, but I do say we do need some type of a library set up on the north side of town.
Thank you. Mr. Thomas.
Yes, I do support it. There is a need for a library there. We are using the library funds to fund that library. So I think it's a need for the district, and I'm glad it's moving forward.
Thank you. For our next question, we will begin with Mr. Tabor. How would you approach requests for industrial tax exemptions from local corporations under ITEP, the Industrial Tax Exemption Program?
I listened to a seminar on it. It sounds good as far as what it offers, but as long as it's for infrastructure to bring the drainage and sewer, water, all the infrastructure, not to help a company, not to give a company money. As long as they, it's agreed. One of my questions when they were introduced, I said, what happens if they back out of it? Is there, a loophole to back out of it? And there wasn't any kind of loophole for them if they backed out. So as it is now, I probably would like to debate some of it and listen more about it, get to know more about it. But from what I've heard on it, it's not. I don't have a problem. If it's a solid program, I'm fine with it. But when they got loopholes, they can get out, and they got the tax break, and now they're out of it. That's the hard part of it. So.
Thank you. Mr. Rubin.
I'm for it, especially if it brings businesses back to the north side of town. The thing about it is, will it benefit us or will it benefit just the company? Okay? If it's benefiting our constituents in our area, well, yeah, like prime example, like let's say the J.C. Penney's and whatnot. It benefits the people on the north side to be able to get the tax breaks and things of such. So I'm for it as long as it's benefiting us. And as you say, they don't have a loophole to get out once it's time for them to start paying monies back. And they say, well, we done made money. Now we're going to leave before we give back to the community. So, yes.
Thank you. Mr. Thomas.
I'm for any program that helps bring development into our community, but we want to make sure that it's done right. I know that when the Target Shopping Center was built on Louisiana Avenue, that was a TIF program, and the goal of that was to attract businesses to that area, because without that type of program, you know, the Lafayette Consolidated Government would not be able to put in the money to develop it, you know, to attract businesses. So we, you know, that was one of the reasons why that area was, you know, developed that way. So I'm for any program that brings good, you know, needed, you know, businesses to our community.
Thank you. Mr. Kishbaugh.
I just think that I grew up in the military, poor. We had family Christmases where the whole family got one present. And my point is that I have properties that we own all over Lafayette. I never got one tax break doing it. I'm for these programs that penalize a company if they, like Costco is there for 10 years without paying property tax. If there's a penalty where they back out of their agreement in a shorter period of time and the community doesn't benefit from the business moving in, then it's okay. But I think private industry, when they come into a town, they're already set up to do business. We have businesses all over North Side, which I'm conscious of, that are closing on a weekly basis. We have to do something to stimulate that, but I'm not sure that's the best program to do it with.
Thank you. For our next question, we will begin this round with Mr. Rubin. Lafayette has held several parish-wide tax renewal elections in the spring, when voter turnout is typically very low. As a parish council representative, would you support placing parish-wide tax renewals on spring election dates?
Taxes? No. No. Plain and simple.
Okay.
I'm against it. Anything that involves taxing the community, I'm not for it. You know, I would like to try to find other ways.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Thomas.
You stated moving, instead of having it in the spring, you would have it in the fall?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I would support that, but I know why a lot of organizations do it the way they do, so that they can put it on the ballot again if it fails. So, but I do agree that, you know, you want to put something like that when it has higher voter turnout.
My bad.
You're fine.
No problem. Thank you for clearing it up, man.
Mr.
I
Kishbaugh.
thought you was just asking myself. Don't worry about it.
Well, in case you haven't heard, we just had a change of government with 8% of the people voting, which is really just unbelievable. You have 170,000 registered voters, and 8% changed our government. It was done on an off election 3 weeks before Christmas, and there was a lot of money spent from one side to promote this, okay? Whether you agree with the split or not, I talked to all 4 mayoral candidates today. They all have something good to offer. And the discussion was that if I had my brothers, as we say in the Marine Corps, if I had my brothers, nothing would pass with less than 51% of the voting population approving it. It just doesn't represent the people. And to answer your question, it needs to be done during a popular vote, like a gubernatorial vote, or at least make sure that 51% of the population is voting on it.
Thank you. Mr. Tabor.
And we're just talking about renewal of taxes, of renewal tax, that are up for adoption, or, okay, not new taxes.
That's
Okay,
what I
clear.
was, yeah.
So, Yeah, I think it should be done when you got your biggest turnout. I mean, but again, also with that said, it's still, we need to get our voters out there for any election we have. It's an election. It's for the betterment of your government. And I've been voting since I was 18 years old in every election. I probably missed a few, but it is the responsibility, in my opinion, of the person to go out and cast their vote. If they're interested and they're worried about their community, that they should do it regularly. Vote.
Thank you. For our next question, we will begin this round with Mr. Thomas. Sheriff Garber had requested $1.7 million to cover the salaries of 35 deputies who work at the Lafayette Parish Correctional Center, but that request was not funded in the latest budget cycle. Do you think that the salaries of those deputies should be covered by the parish budget? Why or why not?
Well, definitely we would have to see if the funding that we are giving the sheriff currently is adequate. I know that it was increased in this budget cycle by $500,000. So that's just one thing that we'll have to look at on the parish side, because that's something, we are in control and we are responsible for our government buildings, such as the courthouse and our operations of our, maintenance and upkeep of the jail. So with our current budget, I probably would have not supported it because of, we just don't have the money for it on the parish side.
Thank you. Mr. Kishbal.
Streamline, efficiency. One of my campaign, I'm very vocal also about getting especially the Lafayette City Police raised to a equitable level in their for what they do for us. The sheriff's not. I can't sit here and tell you my plan because, and I don't want to be cynical, but if I give you all my information, then someone's going to have a leg up on me. But there are different ways to generate this money. I think Sheriff Garber has good intentions. I think his big tax initiative failed because he didn't have a sunset on it. But there are avenues to create better paychecks for the sheriffs and especially the city police.
Thank you. Mr. Tabor.
And we're talking about the recent adding that he asked for.
He asked for $1.7 million to cover deputies who were already working in the Lafayette Parish Correctional Center.
And it's my understanding right now. If it's mandated by the state, we got to do it, then we got to do it. And I think right now that's tied up to find out if that is covered under that mandate. And I agree. We need to pay our deputies, all our first responders with the best we could pay them. But again, if we don't have the money, we can't do it, and we need to find ways to get that money. But one of the things, back to what you alluded to on Garber, I'm on the airport commission, and I told him not this tax, but the one he tried to pass before. I said, he asked, when I talked to him, I said, if you did it like we did the airport, just to get it paid off, I think it would have passed. And that's what I think. That's the future of taxes, and if there is a tax in this city, is if you got something you want to pay, you want to do a lump sum, pay it off. And with the airport, it's working great. And what happens is you get other monies that you could use grant monies for, so you could, like we did at the airport, quadruple your money that you had.
Mr. Rubin.
But the problem is, we have mandated monies, and we're not paying the people for the things that we're supposed to pay for. We're paying a lot of other things that's not mandated. I think, personally, police aren't getting paid enough. Our first responders, they all need raises. So I would try to find a way to make sure we pay the mandated monies. Whatever's mandated, give it to them, okay? And then the other things, then we pay them on a priority as needed. But the monies, I'd be leaning towards to trying to find a way to get that money to them.
Thank you. For our next question, we will begin this round with Mr. Kishbaugh. On October 12th, Lafayette voters will cast votes on a ballot proposition on whether or not to rededicate $10 million of the Lafayette Parish Library System's estimated $26 million fund balance. And 8 million of that would be allocated to roads, bridges, and drainage, and 2 million of that 10 would go to parks and recs facilities. Do you think that Lafayette citizens should vote in support of this rededication? Why or why not?
I think I would support that rededication. You know, I'm out in the community all day long. I happen to see our parks almost on a daily basis. I've done coaching with the Parks and Recreation departments, and they need to be funded. And I have no problem with rededicating that money.
Mr. Tabor?
I agree, we need to dedicate that money to especially the roads, and the parks. They are run down. Any monies we can get that goes back to those needs, then I think we need to get.
Thank you.
I also agree, due to the fact that I utilize those facilities on a regular basis also, you know. I coach everything from t-ball to volleyball. I was even a cheerleading dad already. So, I mean, I've done it all, and I utilize the facilities all the time. Matter of fact, I do a Easter egg hunt now. It's been 19 years that we do in Hammond Park. So I think any monies that's allocated to our future, which I call our kids our future, I'm all for it. And then, like you said, we need roads to get to those facilities, you know, so I'm for it also.
Thank you. Mr. Thomas?
I support building our Northside Library, and I support this also.
Thank you. For our next question, we will begin this round with Mr. Tabor. In 2018, Lafayette voters in the unincorporated areas rejected a proposed new property tax that would have funded a rural fire district. What should be done to ensure adequate fire protection across the parish, especially in the unincorporated areas?
I do live in the unincorporated areas, and that's a good question. Again, back to my original of looking at the property taxes we have now. If we can reappropriate those taxes, find that dollar value in there. Again, I'm not for raising taxes, but again, also if you look at your insurance rates, the dollars you pay on your insurance rate, you probably pay more on the insurance than you would pay on the tax increase. So I would have to look at it more, but if we can't find it through reappropriating taxes, the sales tax, then we'll have to look at some other avenues.
Thank you. Mr. Rubin?
That's a good one because, you know, in the unincorporated area which I stay, the thing about, like, in our area, if a fire breaks out, the city comes to our area. And I know there's talks about that as far as them coming to us. They're not supposed to. But I think that's something that we need to work on as a collaboration, once again. Because where I stay at, for example, I stay in Derby Heights, which is off the Bro Bridge Highway. You know who has to come to my house if a fire breaks out? Camera crew. I'm dead. Plain and simple. So, I mean, so what I've proposed that we work with the city and we try to work something out with them so that way they can come there, because at the end of the day, Lafayette is Lafayette, and we all need to work together and think about the constituents before thinking about all the other red tape.
Thank you. Mr. Thomas?
I definitely think it's something the new parish council will have to address along with the city, because like the other candidates stated, that when a fire breaks out in the unincorporated areas of the parish, usually it's a Lafayette Fire Department within the city that, you know, responds to that fire. And with that could mean a portion of the city is not being covered at that time. And so if a fire breaks out in the city, well, they're in the unincorporated area putting out that fire. So how can they protect that portion of the city where the city money is being used and the city, you know, a city taxpayer is paying for those services? So that's definitely something we have to look into, because I don't think we're going to hear the last of this from what I've been, you know, in talks with people and reading about. So we're going to have to address it.
Thank you. Mr. Kishba?
8 years ago, I moved from Regency Park, which is in the heart of Lafayette, where I had a fire hydrant at my front curb, to out on 20 acres where the nearest fire hydrant's about a mile away. So I bought a pump. So I have my own fire hydrant. Y'all were supposed to laugh at that. Okay, and I did buy a pump. So I think our property tax and the well, y'all gonna hate me. I think the property tax, and I pay a lot of property tax, and I live in the unincorporated area. I just want to make that clear. Off of LaBisque, I think it's too low, and I think we're not funneling the money properly. But I would definitely favor a collaboration to where we can, build a unique and positive fire district in the unincorporated areas. It's needed. We need some fire stations out here. It's just a matter of, delegating the funds to those areas.
Thank you. For our next question, we'll begin with Mr. Rubin. What specifically can the Parish Council do to encourage economic development and investment, especially here in the northern parts of the parish?
Once again, like we started out earlier, talk to the different companies that want to move in and try to offer them tax breaks, lenience on the different permits that they have to get. Try to work with them and encourage them to come here. And like I said, make sure we take care of the existing businesses that we have already. They see us taking care of them. When they come in, they'll figure we'll take care of them. So that's what I would try to do, to try to get them to come to invest into the north side of Lafayette.
Thank you. Mr. Thomas.
Well, I definitely think that we need more revenue sources for the parish than property taxes. So that's something that we'll have to look at in regards to economic development. But, one of the things I think we can continue to do is have those type of programs on the north side of Lafayette where they can get, such as TIFs that the Target Shopping Center, like we talked about earlier on Louisiana Avenue, has taken upon. So we're just going to have to continue to see the areas that we have, such as the opportunity zones, that has, is a big focus right now, and getting, let people know that, hey, these opportunity zones for development are available. And it would be great for you to take part in that, and, the business owner will be able to benefit from it, but also the community, number one. And as long as the community is benefiting from it, I think that's the ultimate goal in regards to economic development.
Thank you. Mr. Kishba.
It's all about leadership. 17 years ago, if you stood on University and taken a rifle and shot it down LaBisque, you wouldn't have hit anything but a tree. I saw some real potential and beauty in the north side of town, so I developed Blue Ridge Acres. Then we developed St. Joseph Court, and Bob Alston came in and developed a big subdivision down LaBisque, and then subdivisions started popping up. You have to take the initiative, the risk, and promote the area. And I think we have a lot of real estate to work with. You just have to encourage private investment to do so. Take a little risk, encourage people. I think the potential is there. I mean, Karen Crow is starting to blow up with commercial business. We just need to have that migrated a little bit in different sections and support each other. And when we have these two councils, that's going to be very important for all of us to support each other moving forward. And again, you got to take the collusion out of the picture and the special interest. If you do that and appropriate money properly, you're going to have that growth.
Thank you. Mr. Tabor.
Again, we take care of those needs, but as far as programs, if they are foolproof, where if that company comes in and they decide that it's not for them, they got to pay what they were supposed to pay. They can't just come in and try it out and leave. We got to hold them accountable for what they done, what they agreed to on their contract. And if they don't agree to it, then if you go to court and sue, then it costs you money. You lose the money that way. So there's got to be a foolproof way that we can, do the agreements, and you agree to it, and you move it, and it works. If it works fine and everybody's happy, that's good. But if the business is going to gain from it and the constituents are going to lose from it, then I'm not for it.
Thank you. For our last question for the evening before closing remarks, we will begin with Mr. Thomas. We have lots of drainage issues that are facing our parish. Is dredging the Vermilion the right place to start, or would you propose other projects or places that we should focus in order to address our parish-wide drainage issues?
I definitely think we'll have to continue to do studies on it. This is something that has kind of snuck up on us as of 2016, so I think we have a long way to go. So, but I know the council has put allocated $5 million to start the dredging of the Vermilion. So we'll just kind of have to kind of see how that goes. But I think it's a process that we'll always have to be focusing on, and we'll never have, we can't stay idle when it comes to drainage, because what we have seen is that when the first time it happened in 2016, it caught a lot of people by surprise, because a lot of people didn't think, well, I'm not in a flood zone, so how did I flood? So we'll just have to continue to work on drainage all the time. I think it'll always have to be in our vocabulary. But I think dredging the Vermilion is a start. But it's definitely not a finish, because I know there's other areas of town in particular that we have to work on drainage, and we have to make sure that we hold developers accountable when they develop new places, so and make sure that their drainage is proper. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Kishba.
Repeat the question.
We have many points that are facing our parish in terms of drainage issues. Is dredging the Vermilion the right place to start, or would you want to prioritize other kinds of projects? Where do we begin?
It's not the wrong place to start. It's basic physics. Right now, there's places in the Vermilion that are about 2 feet deep. So you dredge it, you create more capacity for volume. You can mitigate saltwater intrusion as it gets closer to the bay. You got to be conscientious of Abbeville and the areas that would be affected. But at the same time, 20 years ago, when we were developing commercial properties, we developed this theory of subsurface retention, which are under our parking lots. I recently sold my house in Austin, Texas 3 years ago to die on the north side of town. And one thing we learned from Austin is creating watershed districts and large retention areas, where you take property that's dedicated, that's farmland now, and you negotiate it, you pay the proper amount of money that the property is worth, and you create a volume area for water to retain until it's dispersed at a certain level. So it's, I'm like 100% start with the Vermilion River and do these other things, and we'll be fine.
Thank you. Mr. Tabor.
Well, being a plumbing contractor, I know a little bit about stoppages. And that's a big stoppage. But I agree, we need to do the hot spots and get it drained. But if you just do our portion of it and don't do it further down the road, then we're doing no good. We'll create a little bit of a retention, but it's going to silt back up because it's not flowing. So we need to, it's going to be a joint effort. We know that we can't just do it. And if we do it, and everybody agrees, and I understand there's some conflict there, but we have to get them on our team. And it's a bigger issue than, since it's not just in Lafayette, the Vermilion. So if we do it, it does no good, in my opinion, to waste the money and do it halfway when you need to do it the whole way. And if you do that, there's a lot of other stuff you need to do and get maintenance to do, keep it up. But that's a start.
Thank you. Mr. Rubin.
Currently, we have, in some spots, we have 7 feet of water, 5 feet of mud, and 2 feet of free-flowing water. So our sewer system, they need the water to be a certain level to recycle the water, okay? So we have to dredge. The problem we're having now is people further up. The Vermilion Parish, they don't want us to dredge, but they have 12 feet of free-flowing water, okay? And what happens, it comes down rushing on us, and it grabs the mud, and it creates mud. So we need to start off by dredging our Vermilion so that we can have more free-flowing water. The sewer system, they'll be able to recycle the water and everything. Now, contractors can probably help me with this. There's a thing called porous concrete. That's something that I've been doing research on. When we're building neighborhoods, let's put porous concrete on our sidewalks. Are we building stores? Let's put porous concrete in our in our parking lots. And what we do, we put a big reservoir in the bottom underneath the ground, and it holds the water. And what we can do, you can utilize that water later to sprinkle the area. I see the time out. I'm gonna stop.
Thank you.
I'm trying to talk.
Y'all have been one of the best groups about obeying and self-enforcing against one another the time, so I appreciate that. We have reached the point in the evening where each of our forum candidates will have the opportunity to make a closing statement. Each candidate will have up to 2 minutes for their remarks. We're going to hear from the candidates in the reverse order from how we began. So we're going to begin with Mr. Thomas and move back down and finish with Mr. Kishbaugh. So please begin, Mr. Thomas.
Thank you. I want to thank the League of Women Voters for having us. Thank everybody in the audience. I'm not sure if anybody's in District 5, but if you are, please tell me hello on your way out. I would love to, meet you and tell you hi. Like I said, my name is James Thomas. Our next parish council is going to be a very special council because it's going to be the first one that we've had since the split in about 20 years. So this parish council is going to set the precedent for future parish councils. And I think it's very important that the people that we elect get the job done and get it done right, because it's not gonna be easy. But by us all working together, not just the parish, but with the city, for the betterment of our community and all of Lafayette, we're gonna be able to get the job done for many, many years to come. So I humbly ask for your prayers and your support on October the 12th. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Rubin.
Once again, my name is Abraham A.B. Rubin. I'm running for Parish Council in District 5. I'm a serving person. I've served this community all my life. This is all I know. My motto on my card is, from the community, for the community. It's not a political statement. That's who I am. Win or lose, that's where you'll find me. In the community, grinding, doing things, trying to make a difference in each and every one of your children's lives. Grandparents, I'm trying to make difference I call it our future, which is our children, and our past, which is the elderly, okay? These two people I make sure I always take care of. Grandparents, they was just this weekend. I've served every retirement home in the Lafayette area already, okay? This is what I do. On October 12th, I would love for you to consider voting for not me, but a vote for me is a vote for the community, because that's who I am. So remember my name on October the 12th, Abraham A.B. Rubin, number 105 on your ballot, from the community, for the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Tabor.
I too would like to thank the League of Women Voters for this opportunity. I've been a small businessman, like I said, for 30 years. I've been a volunteer for all my adult life. I've coached. I've served on numerous boards and commissions. A leader class 24, a graduate from leadership class 24. I served on the airport commission now. I served on the Better Business Bureau. I served on Upper Lafayette board, and I've always volunteered my time, and I'm doing this because I feel there's a calling on my life. I don't feel it's not anything I want to do. That's one of the reasons. The other reason is because I plan on staying here for hopefully another 40 years. I don't think I'll make it, but it's for our grandchildren, all our children, all our kids, just to make a better place for us to live, where we don't ride on roads that are knock your teeth out, and I had to call my councilman the other day about these big trucks that were driving and tearing up the roads. We just got to, we got to treat our place better than this. And I thank you, and I hope you ask for your vote on October 12th.
Thank you. Mr. Kishbaugh.
Keith Kishbaugh. I've owned a construction company for 42 years. I'm compelled to do this. My wife and kids tried to talk me out of it, but I just felt like it was the right thing to do. And let me tell you how much we love this community. I can live anywhere in the world I want, and I'm living on the north side of town. We cared so much about you guys and the rest of the community. We spent $45,000 when we sued the city government, the LCG, because of improprieties in the Fix the Charter election. We didn't want the council to move forward, be able to do what they want by ordinance. Unfortunately, the Supreme Court didn't have time to hear it, but Judge Genovese, the Supreme Court justice, did say if he would have ruled on it, he would have overturned the lower court. And my point is, I'm doing this because I want a better Lafayette. I don't want any more collusion. I don't want any of these developers, people getting greased. I want the money that's appropriated to the city going to the parish and the city for our roads, bridges, drainage, and even down the road, libraries. I think we have a systematic way of doing things that need to be done. I think it's very important. All these guys have something to offer. It's going to be up to you to elect the right people moving forward. My opinion, I'm going to be a little bold. I think the current city council needs to be cleaned out, and you need to elect new representatives across the board. And I think most people that are running right now are running for the right reasons. I think we're, like I said earlier, we're at a crossroads of the future of Lafayette and Lafayette Parish. You need to elect the right people to get represented properly and quit all these shenanigans, okay? Thank you for being here. God bless you all.
I hope you'll all join me in giving a round of applause to our candidates. I appreciate all of you being here tonight and offering your thoughts, and especially for putting yourself out there for public service. That's not easy, and I appreciate your willingness to do that. We hope that everyone here tonight had a chance to learn a little bit more about the candidates, and we hope that you feel like you're better prepared to make an informed decision come October 12th. Saturday, October 12th is Election Day. Tomorrow is the last day that you can register by mail in order to vote, though you can continue to do that for another week online. But if anybody wants to register or update their mailing address, you can do that here tonight. The League is prepared, and we're here to help you. For anyone who wants more information, the League of Women Voters does have a complete voter guide that's available on our website, and information about our remaining forums. There are 3 more. You can access that on our website. That's www.lwv-lafayette.org. Thanks, everyone, for watching. For our audience here tonight, for our timekeeper, who did an excellent job, and our candidates for following that timing. We also want to make a special thanks to the North Regional Library for being an excellent host here tonight, and especially to AOC Community Media for filming this and live streaming it. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful night.